Marc, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me, Sam. He weren't really for me as a manager, I must admit, like as playing for him. Whatever you do as an away fan, don't wind him up because he will score, he will score. I do think they can survive. There's a lot just overriding at the minute with the points deduction looking possible.
My grandchildren call me Mr. Grumpy, getting older and older.
Next one, Wolves will finish above Leicester this season. True or false? Oh. Welcome to another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football. Hey Sam, how are you?
I'm very good, Nat, thanks, and I'm really looking forward to today's episode. So we're up and running again. So yeah, looking forward to it.
Me too. Very much looking forward to it. Would you like to introduce our guest today?
Yes, I would. He's similar to me, from the Midlands, and obviously had a fantastic career, based mainly around the Midlands. But I think probably what people know him for is winning the Premier League. When it's Marc Albrighton from Leicester. So Marc, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you very much for having me, Sam.
Pleasure.
Thank you.
Not a bad thing to be remembered for, Marc.
No, yeah. It's something that you get reminded of sort of very often. So it's very positive. I'd rather be remembered for that than anything else. Yeah.
I think I'd have it is that everywhere I went, Sam, I think I'd want to be Natalie Pike Premier League winner.
Premier League
just
winner.
just roll off.
I remember.
Yeah.
I remember they beat Sunderland when I was trying to get them out of trouble at Sunderland, So, that man Vardy's running in behind again. We spent all week telling stop, got to drop off, got to stop Vardy running in behind. And it was a tight game until, I don't know, last 20 minutes or so. And he popped one over the top. Bridge, I think just pinged it just and our centre half slipped and that was it. I think we lost 2-0, I think.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I think it was 2 late goals though, weren't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's still scoring goals now.
Still scoring.
Well, they went on to win the Premier League by 10 clear points. I mean, I was the one that we survived at Sunderland, so it was pretty good, that feeling. But I can't imagine because obviously at that stage, and sadly I was at his funeral yesterday. He was assistant manager at the time, Craig Shakespeare, who worked for me with England and Everton, of course. And he's unfortunately died at 60 with cancer. But those that days would have been probably one of your best, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think we had a really good group there. We had a really good group of players in the dressing room and also the staff as well. So yeah. you mentioned Craig there, who obviously was at his funeral yesterday, and you can just see from the outpouring of comments since his passing of how how loved he was as a football coach, but you listened to the readings yesterday, and the main takeaway was how he was as a person, and I think that's what you want to be remembered for when it is your time. I think that's we've seen obviously recent days with Sven-Goran Eriksson as well, and a similar things been said about him, and I think you can do all in the game, you can achieve whatever, but if you're remembered as a good person, I think that's ultimately what you want.
Oh, there's some of the
sad news this week with Sven as well. I mean, I have a good mate I played with for many years at Bolton, much to Bolton Wanderers, Roy Greaves, who played for Bolton all his life till into his 30s. I've got his funeral this week. He died at 77. But going back to Sven and Craig, I met Sven and Tor many times in my time, So, and I always found him to be a great guy. Just like shaky personality, you got all this ability. If you haven't got the personality to go with the ability, you can't succeed in this game. I'm not so sure you can succeed in life. But Craig's personality particularly was like he lifted the mood. He could sense the room. He could communicate with you. He could tell you if you didn't like what he was saying, he'd still tell you. And I think that's from my point of view as a manager, that's very, very important. If they disagree with you and let you know, But
I think he had one of his big qualities was he could read people straight away of like what they needed. So within like a day of getting there, he could read whether they needed an arm around the shoulder, whether they needed something else, and he was great with that. And I think a lot of the culture that that was created at Leicester around that period was down to him. Like, he relaxed everyone. I think you look at that season that we won the league, and if you see pictures of us sort of before games and in the tunnel warm-ups, everybody's just so relaxed. Like, we're so relaxed, considering we're sort of top of the league and going for the title at the end. Everyone was just so relaxed, and he created that. He just put that in place, because he just sort of, he relaxed the mood around the training ground. He relaxed the mood on game days, just with his humour and with his personality, and that's a quality that come natural to him. He didn't have to work on it.
I think I come around because, like, a big mate of mine's Nigel Pearson, and Nigel put all that work in beforehand, didn't he? Like, I mean, so he must have looked back when Claudio Ranieri came in, and Ranieri,
Yes,
and he come and I was manager of West Ham when you just stayed up the year before.
Yes.
Beat us with about, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 games to go. Beat us.
That was a draw, weren't it?
I think you beat us. I think at the end, I can't remember anyway. But it was you stayed up that year, and like the last thing people expected was Leicester was going to win the. I think you've got to look at this and say, when will it ever happen again? Will it ever happen again? So here's Leicester City. Nigel spent all that time and unfortunately loses his position, but they keep all the backroom staff. It's right, isn't it?
Yes, yeah.
So they didn't let the new manager come, and they must have said to him, "Look, you can come and manage here, but we've got this staff that Nigel had built with Shaky, and that has to stay in place." So I thought a mixture of that and the players having a style that suited everybody, but to win it by 10 points was just, against the odds. And I love when we all love an underdog over here, don't we? Like, I mean, but then you got the others about they were lucky. Like, you mean, Liverpool were off, or Man United were off, Man City, whoever was, Arsenal were off, and so it wasn't really the credit they deserved in the whole of football with some of the pundits as usual. But it was just I don't know. I just thought it was a magnificent achievement.
Absolutely
Magnificent,
magical.
And I've got to say this, by the way. Yeah. It was the year after he got free from Villa.
Oh, right. Well, so I want to get into this.
I don't know whether he likes going to talk about that.
Hey,
I've got to bring it up.
It's just facts.
He has to be one of the best free transfers. I mean, I've had some great free transfers in my time, especially at Bolton, like, I mean, but the free transfer from Villa, his boyhood club, to Leicester and winning the Premier League. And I've got to add this one. You played in every game, didn't you?
Yeah. Yes.
He's blushing up now.
He is, yeah.
I've got to say it, because I know he won't. I have to tell everybody, like, on the podcast, and just remind everybody just what a job he did for not just that season, but from then till now.
I want to get into it in detail. But there's a couple of non-football things just to tick off that I want to talk about first. But of course, just lots of love to the families of Sven-Goran Eriksson and Craig Shakespeare. You were both at his funeral yesterday, and the tributes that have been going around for both of them have been absolutely beautiful. So a couple of non-football things quickly before we get into detail about the Leicester. Are you an Oasis fan?
Yes, I am. I'm trying to get some tickets.
Are you?
Yeah.
Have you got any contacts?
Well, I wish I had, but I'm afraid that's all my contacts will be for me and my family. not for you, love. I'm afraid. Sorry. Like, I mean,
are you going to be on Saturday morning logging in?
I'll be. I know I'll be using a third party, like, some of the contacts that I've got.
Are you an Oasis fan, Mark?
I am. Yeah, I'm also on the hunt for tickets. So if there's any going. I was logging onto the thing this morning, actually. There's like a thing that you can sign up to.
Pre-sale thing?
Yes.
I've not had my confirmation email, though. I'm stressing.
No, I haven't.
Okay,
no,
great.
But it could take a while. So a couple of my mates have done it as well, and they said the same. They've not had the email.
Clever, aren't they?
Oh, everybody is going to be, aren't they?
I mean, they must have been planning this for a while. slowly and surely, just.
I love how they've done it as well. Just put the date on and yeah, it's brilliant.
Loved everything about it. Yeah, I've been blessed that I've interviewed both of them.
It'd be as big as a Swiftie,
so
wouldn't it?
many times. Well,
Do you think?
yeah.
Might be as big as a Swiftie.
Well, I think
Bigger.
yeah, in this country,
Yeah.
certainly. Have you seen them before?
Yeah, years and years ago. Might have seen them at Man City.
I saw them at the Reebok.
Oh, really?
When it was the Reebok.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Well, what year was that?
So I must have been 5th. So that must have been 98, 97, 98, 99, around there.
Yeah, I only joined Bolton in '99, so it might have been
just before,
that, like you mean. So.
Well, good luck. Good luck.
Yes, thank you.
Good luck for you to get.
Well, I just hope they stay
Good luck to
friends.
me.
I just hope they stay friends for a while. Like if they're gonna.
Yeah,
No.
it's a long way away, isn't
I
it?
mean, yes. They give
Hopefully,
each other-
that much money
give
is
each
going to
other
make
some
them.
stick now and again, aren't they? Like,
Yeah.
so it's
Good
yeah.
luck to everybody that's getting tickets. If you end up with the spare one, don't forget me, anyone. Okay, one other non-football thing, but it's got a football related thing to it, Mark, that I wanted to ask you about. Your former teammate Danny Simpson is boxing now, and he has his big fight on the. I don't know if you know about this, Sam, on the Misfits boxing card. Yeah, Danny Simpson has become a boxer. So Misfits is this run by KSI, and is this boxing thing where generally it's celebrities, YouTubers, other types of people get involved in it. He is fighting. Did you ever predict, or was it obvious that this would be something he might do?
No, it weren't obvious. Definitely not. I can see him doing it. I can see him going into it and enjoying it. He's tried a few things since he's sort of come out of football, and he's dipped his toe in the media world, and he does well on there. And this is another thing now. So I was actually hoping to get out there and go and watch him, but it falls on the same weekend that Villa play Leicester, so I had to make a decision. And yeah, I've chose Villa.
Where's he fighting?
It's in Dublin.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is it this weekend?
This weekend. Yeah, I think it's Sunday. I want to say it's Sunday.
I wouldn't have thought he'd want to damage his pretty face, would you?
Maybe he's hoping he's not going to get hit.
Yeah, I think that's why I didn't predict it happening. But yeah, now he's in it. Like he works hard for it. I can see him in training and stuff. He's posting all his videos and that. So he looks in good shape. He looks in good nick. So good luck to him. I hope he
was
goes
another
well.
free transfer, wasn't he?
He was another free
To
transfer
Leicester?
from QPR.
QPR.
Yeah. And he did great for us. He was brilliant. He was such a steady right back, and formed a great relationship with the back four at the time. He was still is good mates with Wes Morgan. Those two were like they'd bicker all day long, like on the pitch, off the pitch. But they were best.
Was it
mates.
Wes Morgan and Robert Hoof?
Yeah, so it was
Mostly
Simo,
two centre halves.
Wes, Houthi, and then Christian Fuchs, the left back. Yeah, so they were solid for us. It helps that they had Kante in front of them.
Yeah.
He did a lot of the work.
Oh, that team, yeah.
Well,
good luck to him. Good luck to him with his boxing. You think you'd ever do a celebrity boxing match, Sam? And
Never.
If you were, who would you go up against?
Well, I'd go watching, but I'd never go doing it. I did boxing when I was at youth club, when I was growing up at Dudley, and I did a bit of boxing at the youth club, and I went into one game, wasn't really competition, but I did a bout with somebody, and because I was so big, so I had somebody about 2 years older than me, and that was the last time I ever did it. After that, I'm not doing that. That's too I got battered.
I imagine I
got battered. That, and then that's it. That's not me. Like I mean, and there were no headgear then. You know, it was just straight into it. And I went, well, that's not. I'll go back to table tennis at youth club.
It's a shame because I imagine there's quite a few people that you'd like to punch or get in a ring with, Sam. So that is the. Let's go back to football now.
Yeah.
So we always take questions, Mark, from our listeners. You can get them, message us on, reply to the YouTube on any of the social media channels. So Armchair Jockey on YouTube has just gone in just straight away, and he just straight away asked for you, Mark, what does the future look like for you?
The future at the minute is unknown a little bit. I'm sort of doing a little bit of the media work at the minute, which I'm really enjoying. It gets me to go and watch a lot of football. It gets me around the country and meeting new people. I'm really enjoying that side of it. got 3 young kids as well, 3 young daughters, so that takes a lot of my time up.
Daughters,
I just brushed over that a little bit there, haven't I? But yeah, 3 young daughters, so you can imagine
Good luck.
my house.
You're out there, aren't you?
Yeah, massively.
No wonder
so,
you want to get out of the house.
I know. But yeah, so that takes up quite a bit of time, and yeah, just I don't know. I'm just at the minute really enjoying my time away from sort of the day to day of football. I'm enjoying sort of waking up in the morning and sort of having my own sort of diary, if you like, and not being told, right, you need to be at this place at this time, wearing this, and like I think as a footballer, you're very much sort of mommy coddled. Like you don't get to make any decisions really for yourself. Like everything's done for you, your food's done for you. Like the training ground is immaculate at Leicester, and you don't have to do anything. And I think as you grow older and sort of get to your sort of mature years, you often want to do stuff for yourself. Like you want to make these decisions, and I'm enjoying doing that at the minute and making that adjustment, and it's suiting me well so far.
So when you started off then playing, because I've talked about this before about coaches creating this opportunity to create their name and their opportunity to work in, which is never a problem. I've been a part of it, big part of it, like you mean. But when I grew up, we were left to make decisions for ourselves. There was a certain amount of tactics done by the assistant manager, coach, and the manager, but then it was about us on the field making our own decisions, and you have to stand by that decision. Listen, you made the wrong decision. You were in the old days. You were up for a bollocking of all bollockings. The 2 things happened is you remembered it, so you wouldn't make that, or do your very best not to make that mistake again. Because the last thing you want to do is not just make the mistake because it might cost you a goal, and 2, the manager's not going to be very pleased with you. So as time has gone on and as football has developed, and I've been a big fan of way back now, we're changed the whole infrastructure of football on what I experienced into where I am now. And now my worry is what Mark's just said. We're leaving them with no decisions to make at all. So when they're looking at you, we're saying, right, we're going to play like this, we're going to play like that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And so all the decision processes that the player has to make, it's now saying, well, I'm just going to follow what the manager and the coaches want. So
Sam mentioned it before, free transfer from Villa to Leicester. It was 24th. Oh my God, that was 10 years ago, Mark.
Don't say that.
It feels like it's gone so quick.
Yeah.
Can you remember who you came on for in your debut?
Ooh, yeah, that's a challenging question.
Mahrez?
It was Riyad Mahrez.
Yeah.
Riyad Mahrez 10 years ago. So as Sam said, it was a free transfer. At the time, how heartbroken were you? Because obviously that was your club, your childhood club.
Yeah, I think leaving Villa, obviously the decision was taken out of my hands in the end, and my contract weren't renewed. So
who was the manager then?
It was Lambert at the time, Paul Lambert.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what decision that was, Paul?
It was, but I think no matter what they would have offered me at that time, I'd have signed it, and I'd have just been like, yeah, I just want to be here. Like I didn't know anything other than Villa, so I'd have just been like, yeah. But the years after,
been devastated then.
I was heartbroken, honestly. Like I didn't know where I was going from there. I just didn't know what the future would hold, and obviously with what happened, it makes it easier. But I look back at that time and I think that was the best thing to happen, because I was probably known as the sort of youth player that's come up through the ranks and probably didn't get the right.
Don't appreciate you as much.
Yeah.
Get less wages.
Yeah, less wages.
Everybody else.
Yeah,
all that.
Like all that.
We all went through that, didn't we?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden you realise, why do I keep getting less wages than everybody else? Like, I mean,
yeah, it's so
true.
So then, obviously, my agent had sort of half predicted that was going to happen, but it was like 2 days after the season had finished, where they'd sort of led me to believe all through that season that there was going to be something at the end of it. Keep playing your football, you're playing well. But yeah, so my agent had been sort of working in the background, and narrowed it down to 2 clubs, which was Leicester and Sunderland. Gus Poyet was in charge of Sunderland at the time. Sunderland were offering more money, bigger club than Leicester at the time, and I no idea to this day what made me choose Leicester over Sunderland.
Down the road.
Yeah, you didn't want to leave the
that was
Midlands.
the only thing. I think that was the only thing.
Were you married then?
Yes, I was. Yeah. No, was I?
No.
Yeah.
Might have to edit that one.
No, so that was before I was married. Sorry. So yeah, that was pre-marriage. Had two kids, young kids. But then so obviously went to Leicester and didn't really predict what was going to. I don't think anyone did predict what was around the corner for me.
Because you went on to win the Premier League, the FA Cup, the Community Shield, and I didn't know this. This is sensational. You scored Leicester's first ever Champions League goal.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, away at Club Bruges. So yeah, the first Champions League game that the club had played, and it was a bit strange because we were still on a high from the season before winning the league, but you go into like the Champions League and it's a bit like the unknown. Like it's like the first day of the season. I always think this. Like you go into the first day of the season and you don't know where you compare to the team. Like how good your pre-season's been compared to the other team. So yeah, we went into it a bit unknown and just got off to a great start. It was a long throw in the Champions League, which is unheard of. Coming back post, keepers missed it, and I've sort of tapped in at the back post. Yeah, and I don't think it quite sunk in at the time, although it looks it on the pictures of the celebration. But it was after sitting on the bus and going back to the hotel and just thinking, wow, I've just scored in the Champions League. And then obviously you realise that it's Leicester's first goal in that competition. And
then you got all the away fans for the first time going, haven't you?
Yeah.
All the Leicester
what a
fans.
place to go as well. Wow.
I remember, but this wasn't the Champions League though. This was the Europa League. I remember we were playing in Bulgaria in the second leg, and I took the team out for a walk.
What team was it?
Bolton.
Bolton.
We're playing Blobdiv. And
Blobdiv?
Blobdiv, yeah.
Is that a real team?
Yeah, it's a real team. Right. And we were walking down the front, and there's hundreds and hundreds of Bolton Wanderers fans came out clapping the team, like, there are thousands of them at the game. I mean, and their memories, they still talk to me now.
Yeah.
Oh, Sam, you took us to you. It was much more. It was much more exciting than it was when you played at home. Because it was Thursday night at home. It's Thursday night at home, and it's hard to get the fans in to pay the money, especially in the early rounds. But look, away, thousands of them went. Like, I mean, it's just like unbelievable.
I've travelled all over Europe watching City. I went to Russia as well back in the day watching City. In Moscow, it's the best. European aways are the best. And what were the best ones you had in the Champions League? The best aways?
So probably Atletico Madrid. We had Seville as well. But like we were sitting in the hotel like the day of the game, and like a lot for most of the games, like my friends went over, like my best mates went over, my family, and they're all sending me videos of like the fan parks. Seeing all this. And that's the side that we don't really see because we're locked in the hotel. But people have spoke to me recently, obviously, about Villa getting in the Champions League and the year that they've got to come and the away games that they've got to come. Like they're going to have such an amazing time this year. It'll be incredible just to go and watch abroad.
I think the draw's Friday this week. Yeah, and they'll get 480. This weird new Champions League
setup, isn't it?
format. Yeah, 8 different teams, 4 home, 4 away. So they are going to have the best time.
I went out to managed to get tickets to the Euros final, so we went to watch England in the summer. Like me and my best mate.
You're getting Oasis tickets, by the way.
Yeah, wow,
tickets.
Yeah. we actually booked the tickets like months and months in advance on the off chance that England would get there.
Really?
So yeah, we felt lucky, but that was my first taste of like what the fans see like abroad, and incredible. We had 3 days out there, and it was amazing. Like every bit of it, apart from the result.
Yes.
Yeah.
Apart from that, yes. Did you play in a game versus Messi once?
Yes. So the year after we won the league, we played in a tournament the next pre-season called the Champions Cup, International Champions Cup. So we played.
America, was it?
One game was in America. So we played PSG in America. We played Barcelona in Stockholm. Played Celtic in Celtic.
My God.
So like that summer was, and then we had the Community Shield at the end of it against United at Wembley. So that
There
summer,
was no pre-season in the old days. Then,
No.
just straight out and.
Do you know what we got
get
to
into
the
games.
we got to the start of the season, and a lot of us were just shattered. Like we was obviously the celebrations from the previous season ran over quite a bit, and then you've got all this travelling and you're playing these top teams, and so yeah, the game against Barcelona, I think we might have drew the game. Ahmed Musa scored like 2 unbelievable goals, but yeah, so the biggest thing I remember from that is we came out to warm up and there's like an applause. Barcelona came out to warm up and there's applause. Then Messi came out and the place just goes like berserk. Like it was amazing, like to see that. And you probably obviously shouldn't do this, but in the warm up, you just find yourself sort of looking over and watching him warm up. I actually got his shirt from that game.
Did you?
Yeah.
But because it's a pre-season game, it's got no names on the
Oh
back.
man.
We had Leonardo Ajoa was at Leicester at the time, obviously being Argentinian. I'd said, like, Leo, I was really good friends with him. I said, do your best for me, do your best for me. Anyway, he took me to the Barcelona dressing room, introduced me, and managed to get his top. So that is at home. So, but
Framed?
it just hasn't got no, not framed, no.
Safe.
Boxed away, I know I've got it. But because it ain't got the name on the back, it sort of takes a little bit of it away, but I know that it is. So
Well done.
yeah, I think there was a few after it at the time.
I bet. Because you see that. I forget what game it was I watched recently, and they were trying to get his shirt at half time, whoever it was, I can't remember. So yeah, you got it. Well done. When you won the league, you all got given gifts at the time. Was it cars and watches?
Yeah, we got given cars. So
Craig Shakespeare got a BMW 8 Sport.
Oh yeah, we all got one.
Did
Yeah.
He got an 8 Sport. Yeah, he tried to sell it to me.
Stop it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, at the time or
No, after a while, so it's like he's like typical Shaky. It was too flash for me, Sam. You know what I mean?
That was the thing for me. That's why I got rid of mine, because it had like the suicide doors where it comes up, so you just nip to the local Tesco Express. And you got these doors coming up off.
Goalkeeping coach at the time,
Mike Stowell.
Stowley. Yeah, I saw him yesterday.
Yeah.
Stowley had a Patek Philippe given to him.
What's that?
Watch.
Oh.
One of the best. One of the best watches.
With the cars, there was rumours of it.
Taxman listening, shouldn't they?
There was rumours of like the cars, and then we all got told, was at training, we all got told, right, you need to make your way over to the stadium after training. So we've drove from the training ground like 5 minutes away to the stadium, and as we've pulled into the car park, there's 25 of these blue, like bright blue Audi BMW i8 like parts sort of diagonally across like that. It was the most surreal thing I've ever seen. I think there's a picture somewhere flying around on the internet, and like it was incredible. It was all the same, but you was going out after training. Once we got the cars, and in the next few weeks, you'd go out after training to the car park, but you'd forget which one was yours. So like you're going like that, and like you're seeing which lights were lighting up. So a lot of
which one's got the rubbish in the bag.
The one thing your lad should have done was gone out and bought your own number plate like that time. Then you'd
yeah. Well, everyone got them wrapped. Everyone got them wrapped different colours. So like there was some matte black ones, there was black ones with grey ones, some kept on blue. I think there's only a couple, maybe 2 or 3 people that still got them now. Everybody else got rid of them.
Who flogged it first?
Oh, it's a good question, that is. I don't know. I'd imagine it'd be someone like...
It was tight.
Yeah.
I'd hear that. It out, didn't it? Yeah. There's always one in the camp.
Yeah. No, I don't know.
I can't imagine Kante in one, though. I feel like he drives like a Volvo or something.
I don't know if he actually got one, because he left soon after. I know he left soon after, so I don't know whether, because it was the lads I'm sure it was the lads that got them were the lads that got the medals. So I think Ben Chilwell, I don't know whether he got a medal because he didn't play the amount of games that he needed to. So I don't know whether he was going to get a car. But then he was signing a contract that next pre-season, brand new contract. And I think one of the things in the contract was for him to
He
get
wants
the
a
car.
car. Yeah.
So he might have had Kante's car.
Listen, we all used to want a car when we were players.
Yeah, I think anything free.
We all do.
everybody
We all
wants
do
yeah.
free
for
stuff,
a
don't
car
they?
when we were players.
Oh, I love a freebie, yeah. You've talked about the celebrations. I mean, we've heard about the celebrations many a time. But of course, when you think about the Leicester celebrations, you think about Jamie Vardy, and mentioned it quickly before, but Jamie Vardy's still scoring. Give the little 1-0 in terms of Premier Leagues to the Spurs to the Spurs fans. I chuckled. Did you chuckle when you saw it?
I'm just used to it now. I'm honestly just used to it. Every away team that comes to the ground, he gets hammered. He gets he gets an enormous abuse. So
He loves it, doesn't he?
fair play to him. Just give it
Takes
back.
it on this.
Yeah,
Takes it on this.
it was. It's like a
shoulders,
known
doesn't he?
thing at Leicester that just whatever you do as an away fan, don't wind him up because he will score. Like he will score. And
He holds the record though, doesn't he? Did he hold the record start of the season? Scored in, was it 12 games on the trot?
11
yes.
consecutive
11.
games. Yeah, he took Van Nistelrooy's record.
Yeah.
He did it in the year we won the league. He scored the record breaker against Man United.
Yes.
To hold that record, like he was just on a run there where he just couldn't miss. Every time he went through, it was like just so confident, like just smash it. Like there was no doubt ever. But yeah, like you say, he's still going now, and he's had to adapt his game slightly over the last couple of years with the way that managers have wanted him to play. But when he's on that shoulder of the defender,
He doesn't seem to have lost much of his pace though either. He's kept his pace quite good, hasn't he?
yeah, he kept his pace. He's fit. Like he could run all day. Like he's still at the top of the
stats.
the stats in pre-season and stuff. So he can go all day. So I think he just goes against everything fitness coaches want because like you look at his diet and stuff, it's well documented.
He's one of those lucky ones.
Yeah,
the lucky one. Yeah.
Fitness coaches are going, no, you need to eat this, you need to do this, and he's like, no, I don't. Look at my record. I'll do what I've always done. So he's like, honestly, he's great character, and you need them in the dressing room.
You do, yeah.
Like, you'll know, like you need they're crucial. Like they just bring a dressing room together.
Will be crucial for Leicester this year as well. If they're going to have a chance, how are you feeling about their season? Can they survive?
I think they can survive. Yeah, I'd like to see them get maybe 1 or 2 more in before the window shuts. But I think it's as tough as it's going to be. I do think they can survive. There's a lot just overriding at the minute with the points deduction looking possible.
Are they going to get a points deduction?
It looks like it, yeah. I don't really know the ins and outs of it, but that's what's what's reported. So it's difficult to say until you know sort of what that's going to be. But I think with the managerial appointment with Steve Cooper, I do think that was a really good appointment because he's obviously what he did with Forest, like they were.
He's seen it and done it, hasn't he?
He has. He knows what it takes to get out of a mess. So I would hope that they get out and manage to stay in the league, but time will tell.
What do you think of Steve Cooper, Sam?
I think he's done brilliantly. I think that he's one of the few British managers that we've got in the Premier League.
Yeah, Steve Cooper representing in the Premier League.
Cooper, yeah.
I interviewed Gary O'Neill on Sunday after the Chelsea game. They got a thumping. It was 6-2 thumping. I bet, and I asked Enzo. I interviewed Enzo Maresca as well, and I asked him if it was nice to be talking about football and not transfers because obviously that's kind of everything. You will have worked with Enzo Maresca last year.
Yeah.
Obviously at Leicester. What was the experience like? What was he like? Because obviously we're seeing him at Chelsea. We're seeing it's been interesting. I think that's the polite way.
Oh, he's had a lot to deal with.
He's had a
lot to deal with.
I think, like you said there, I think he'll be happy to be talking about the football stuff because he is like football obsessed. Like he lives and breathes it. He's there first thing in the morning, like before anyone else. Some days he'll just stay over at the training ground because he's there so late. He's just constantly got like his head focused on football, whether he's watching games from like opposition that we're going to be playing, and but I found him like a lot different to anything that I'd worked with before. his ideas. He's got a philosophy that he sort of looked at even when he was playing, and he's sort of studied it. I think there's people like him, and Dewsbury was of the same mould, and obviously Pep as well, who Enzo worked under at City, and probably Arteta's got it as well. And they've got this philosophy and way of playing where
Xavi Alonso's got it, I think.
yeah, he has, and they study it and study it and study it, and they look at a lot of stats, like it's a lot stat based. And in a lot of the meetings, he was saying, "Look, I've studied this method. This is a tried and tested. Like it's going to happen. Like if you do it the right way, you will get success from it." And so he was very passionate about that way of playing.
But do you think that would have worked with the squad you've got in the Premier League now?
No, I
So
don't think
sort of fine when you're in the Championship.
What do you mean?
Well, the team in the Championship were one of the best before it started.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So any team that comes down from the Premier League will start with one, even though they've probably got rid of 8 players or 9. I mean, Leicester let some big players go, didn't they? Like, I mean,
you look at Vincent Kompany at Burnley.
Yeah.
He obviously
So you look at what Vincent did, and then look what he did in the Premier League.
Right. Okay.
I think they got 30 points, did they?
Yeah. No.
And that's the thing. I think you
so we've studied the philosophy. You've studied it, but if you've got the team to play like that, going to the next level, you know what I mean? I get slaughtered for being pragmatic. So I get the philosophies and the study, but I also have a look at the fact that what are the players capable of? So players have to be capable of receiving a ball in their own 18-yard box. They have to be capable to doing it. And if they're not, what are you going to do?
Yeah.
Keep doing it. Well, ultimately, if you keep doing that and losing, you're going to get the sack.
Yeah, I think we had no end of meetings, and like you talked about there, where
so you had a meeting about a meeting, then did you?
A meeting about a meeting. Honestly, there was meetings before training, after training, like days before game. Like you could have up to four meetings, set piece meetings. Which, like, don't get me wrong, there's a certain aspect where I feel like it's needed. You got to look at opposition, and you've got to know your roles at set pieces. But I think you can get too much information.
I agree.
I think you can get too much. Like every player is different. Like this is my opinion, but I'd rather go out there. Right, I know my job, I know my role, set pieces, I know what's expected of me. But like we said earlier about having a bit of freedom, having
you know why he's like that? It's his first job.
Yeah.
He's taken on a heck of a job at Chelsea, eh? His comments have drawn a lot of attention this week. Is he ruthless? Are they ruthless, or is he truthful? What do you think?
I think he is ruthless. I think as a manager, like Sam will know better than I do. Like you need to have a certain amount of that ruthlessness in you. I think he showed it a couple of times at Leicester during the season that we were there. Like I look at players like Conor Cody, who just didn't hardly got a game at all last year, and at the start he was probably going to be the main centre back.
We went to Leicester from
Everton. Yeah. Got an injury.
Everton only had him on loan, didn't they? From Wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then he signed, and he must have signed from Wolves.
Yeah. I mean, he's played for England.
Played for England recently,
and
as
all
well.
of a sudden he's just.
Yeah. Like I say, he had an injury just before the season started in one of the pre-season games, and but then after that, just weren't in the fall. And then there was like a young lad coming through at the time, and he was getting played ahead of Conor. And I felt like he was ruthless at times, like during the season last year. But even more so now. But I do think, like in the situation that he's at Chelsea, like I think you've got to be ruthless to some extent. Like, not that I agree with the way that it looks like they're being, like some of the players are being treated.
Training with the kids.
Yeah, like I don't agree.
It's not
with
his
that,
fault though.
It's not. Yeah, it's not.
His job's not made easier by the owners by accumulating all those players and him having to deal with all the players that's around it, which ultimately he wants to focus on on football, and all he's getting from the press is what you're doing with him, what you're doing with all them 12 players you can't train, what you're doing with all the players. It's not conducive to a successful football club, which is no fault of his own, even though in the end he might carry the can. So he's got to be very shrewd and ruthless on being able to be who he is with his philosophy and protecting himself from all that negativity and making sure the focus is on the 25 squad players that he's going to end up with at the end of this month that you have to put into the Premier League. It's up to the rest of the club now to get rid of the others. It's not his responsibility anymore. It used to be my responsibility at Bolton to get the players in and out. It's not your responsibility anymore as head coach. We're not managers anymore, head coach. So it's somebody else's responsibility. So you go, well, that's me. This is what I want. And that could be a problem because he might be taking out somebody that the owner thinks, well, why are you taking him out? You've got to have him in. Mm-hmm. And you're going, well, who's in charge here? Is it me or is it, And I think that's why Poch left. Because I think Poch had to stand up with them and said, I need this and that. And they went, no, you can't have this. We want that. And they just sacked him.
It does seem like that. I am thinking, though, because he signed Kieran Dewsbury-Hall from Leicester, I'm guessing that he's had a...
Yeah, he's had an influence. Yeah, definitely. I mean, you definitely have to have an influence and say, the beauty about you telling them, but the downside is that he better succeed.
So what's he got to do? Because obviously,
he's got to decide, and hopefully his decision is final on the 25 that he wants with the rest of his staff, and say, look, these are the 25. He should have already done that.
Yeah.
And say,
players now.
So you've got to try. Well, he's probably saying if we're going to be in the Champions League, we need a centre forward or we need a. But in the what's going to happen at a football club, Nat, is this, and it's horrible based on the fact the club has to try and get as much money as it can, right? And sometimes they refuse the money that they get offered, and they're never going to get offered that much again. But it's a lot less than what they paid for them.
Yeah.
And but if that lad doesn't go, or these lads don't go at the end of this window, it's massive problems. Even though the training away from the football club, it still has an horrible effect on the whole of the football club because press are going to be on it. Press are going to be looking at it and saying, how can you treat a player like that? How can you? PFA might come in and say, what are you doing? Treating one of our professionals like that. It's, it could be, in some cases, could be deemed as constructive dismissal.
They've not helped themselves with these 7, 8 year, 9-year contracts as well.
And it's a real problem. I've told you this before. With 97 players at Everton when I got there, I couldn't believe it. For 3 teams, 97. It was honestly to try and keep that first team squad of 25 and the other. I mean, we got rid of quite as many as we could on loan or sell them in the Christmas period in January. So at least we had an amount we could handle, and not too many disruptive players who expected to be in the first team squad but couldn't even change in the first team dressing room. I never experienced anything as difficult in my life. I didn't realise what was happening, what I was walking into. Yeah. Which was all done in good intention, which is what it's all good intention about wanting to build this squad as quickly as possible, but it can have such a negative effect.
Yeah, you'll have real first-hand experience and empathy for him.
Yeah.
In terms of Kieran Dewsbury-Hall, what is he going to have to do, given the amount of players they've had? And you mentioned Danny Drinkwater before. Obviously, Leicester to Chelsea move didn't work out for him. What does Kieran Dewsbury-Hall need to do to succeed, do you think?
I think, like we were saying earlier about, right, you need to do what the manager asks of you, and like you this robotic player. I think he's got to do a lot of that because that's why he's been brought there, because he did so well with this manager's philosophy last year that he's done that well that he's wanted to take him to Chelsea. So I think just do everything that he's asked, like that the manager's asking of him. I think he's got a head start on some of the players there in terms of he knows exactly what Maresca wants. He knows exactly what he expects of somebody in that position. Because I did find that there was a lot of, like, it was so different. Like his way of playing was so different. Everything in training was starting from build up and the way that he wants to build up, and it was totally different to anything I've experienced before. So I think the fact that he's got that knowledge from last season, he can take it to Chelsea with him, and like I said, I think that gives him a bit of a head start.
How much work did you do on defending at Leicester?
Not a great deal.
There you go.
Not a great deal at all. Not a great deal. It was
not a recipe for success, then, is it?
No. We had certain patterns of play that we'd work on, and like I said earlier, there's days where I've gone into training and you do warm up, you do like a little keep ball square, and then I could get 3 touches for the rest of the session because I was just out wide on the touch line, and the patterns of play were just going through the middle, so we was just decoys, if anything. So we did sort of 2 or 3 patterns of play. Then you'd get to an international break, and obviously international breaks used to be, if you're not going away with your squad, like, you get a fair few days off. There was none of that. It was for him to bring in the next phase of his philosophy.
Yeah.
So you'd then learn 3 or 4 other different phases of play. And it was just things like this. It's how the
repeat then, effectively. Yeah, I get that.
It was.
Yeah, repetition. Yeah.
I remember under Brendan Rodgers, I can't remember doing the same session twice. Like, everything was fresh. It was brand new. You've gone out to train. Everything was so new for 5 years. Whereas last year it was, right, these are the sessions that we do, like, and we're going to repeat them. All about, like, the fullback coming in when it's the time for the fullback to come in, whether the fullback goes higher inside and it was just all of these rotations, and it was like sort of getting in the habits of moving this way.
Yeah.
I suppose he would say it worked.
This is the thing, like, we got promoted, so you can't question it. Like you said earlier, Sam, if he was taking us into the Premier League,
we'll only find out whether it works for him in this. And obviously, when you see the success of Mikel Arteta and what he's done at Arsenal, and he's got the board. He's worked hard enough to get the board to believe in him and back him. So they've turned the corner from. They've turned the corner at last from Arsene Wenger. You know, all the managers they tried. Man United are still trying.
Yeah. They were patient, though. I always think it's good to remember they were patient with him.
They were very patient. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, no doubt about that. But he was ruthless because he got rid of the big boys, didn't he? He just cut them off and said, "No, they're out." You know, that's a big decision on the sort of money they paid to keep them.
Well, it's going to be really interesting to watch Chelsea this season. Some of the defending was questionable at the weekend.
Well, that's why I asked the question.
Yeah.
How good? I mean, Chelsea's problem is in the end, Poch sorted the defence out. And that's why they had such a great finish to the season. So they were still fluent in attack, but when they lost the ball, they started being efficient enough in defence to do it. Like, I mean, I'll tell you, like everything else, you don't win the league unless you've got the best defensive record. Yeah. Or certainly, you can win the league with the second best defensive.
Yeah, yes, you can.
You can, but you need to be 1 or 2. And if you're not that, you're not going to win it.
Conor Cody was saying last year, like, in the games that he did come in, whether it cup games or whatever, like what he was being asked to do in terms of, like, following players, like, all over the pitch. Like, sometimes he was finding himself in a left wing position because he's had to go all that. He says, I just felt so uncomfortable.
You ask him to do something you're not comfortable with, so you can't do it, can you?
No. He said it's just everything that I haven't done for my whole career. He said it's just a total change. So I think, like, some players find it difficult, and I look at Leicester now, and it'll probably take some adjusting from going to that way to now Steve Cooper's way of playing and going back, because you've got people like the goalkeeper, Mads Hermansen. You've got Harry Winks. Like, these players have been brought in to play Maresca's way. So all of a sudden they've got to adjust and go and learn.
But he managed to cope with 22 players brought in one season and keep Forest up, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So he's got a great insight into the problems he faced for the first time at Forest by getting them up, like you mean. So you've got to hope he'll use that experience now with Leicester, and I mean, staying in the Premier League after last year's 3 teams is the ultimate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely. 17th would be
glorious.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Leicester fans would snap your hand off for that.
Thinking about the players that left Leicester, obviously I'm Manchester City fans, so I had glorious years where we had Mahrez. When Mahrez was leaving, the rumours were that he wanted to force a move and he stopped turning up to training. What's that like for you from the other side, from your side, from the players' side, when you're like, this is the team I play for, we just won the league and now you're not turning up for training? How was it?
Yeah, I've seen it a few times, to be honest. I think Danny Drinkwater was one of them. I know that he was waiting to see the director of football at Leicester at the time to sort of find out what was going on with his move, and he just couldn't find him. Like, he was going in his office, he was going around the other side and just couldn't find him, and just wanted to know what was going on. So then he went and sat in the canteen and refused to train, just saying, like, I'm not going out there until like he comes in, like, until I see him.
The director of football?
Yeah, no, yeah. So Drinky wanted to see the director of football, so Drinky just sat in the canteen.
And the director of football was avoiding him on purpose?
I don't know. Yeah, no idea. Like, he just couldn't.
When you get a player like that wanted to see that, the director of football comes in and sees him, does he not?
Yeah. You'd have thought so. So it was obviously, that was one of them. Riyadh was another one. And then I think Wes Fofana as well, who went to Chelsea. He was another one. I can see both sides of it. I can see the side where, right, the player all of a sudden can have like the best move of his career, could like financially set himself up for life. He can be going and playing Champions League football on a regular basis, and but then I can see the other side of it as well. Like, yeah, well, you should play with us until that happens, if that does happen, because we're what you haven't got there on your own. Like, you've needed us to get you to that position, so don't turn your back on us now. But we look at like the loyalty in football, and obviously
look at it the other way, like we've just been talking about what's happening at Chelsea.
Yeah, exactly.
Look what they've done to Conor Gallagher.
Yeah, exactly what I was going to say.
Like, homegrown, you know what I mean? One of their own, like, I mean, and fans all love one of their own, like, I mean.
Oh, Chelsea fans are fuming.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you've got look. I worked with Conor, so at West Brom when he toughed it out with me when we were at the bottom of the league. Then he was only 19 at the time, which I think stood him in real good stead when he come through that. And ended up playing for England. It's some achievement for the young man. But then, why can he not fit in? Why can he not fit into Chelsea? Why? There's always room for somebody who sits and works hard and shuts the opposition down. Well, Kante was one for you, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Rolo Kante, like, I mean, he was great at. He was great energy, reading the situation, shutting the opposition down, and he gives it, and he pinch the ball or intercept the ball, and he give the back four a lot of rest, because he would be the one that break it up, and then he'd press it onto Mahrez or into Vardy and whatever it was, and go on, like, I mean. So there's in any team there's always that room for that player that links the whole team together. It's a team game. So if they're all intricate, technically very good midfield players that get the ball and can beat a player and go forward, but then they can't get back. And then you need a Conor Gallagher to sit there and be the one who goes and shuts it down and sets the tone to win the ball back and then create the next opportunity. If not, they go up the other end.
Yeah.
And score.
Seems like it's a funny thing for them, doesn't it?
So you're losing the balance. There's a balance of a team where too much talent is never going to work. Sounds silly when you say that. In terms of skills on the ball, you know what I mean? You need skills defensively. You need players who think defensively, and that's getting less and less and less now, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think like I've had managers come in the past and probably haven't fancied me to start with, but I've always had the mentality, right, I'll win them over. But you've got someone like Conor Gallagher who hasn't even been given the chance to win this manager over. Like he's just been like pushed aside, right, go and train on your own or with this different group. And I can accept it to some point if there's a player that's disruptive, like if he's not fancied and he's been disruptive in the dressing room and causing havoc, then fine. Conor Gallagher, you'll know better than me, doesn't strike me as the player that would be doing that. He strikes me as the player that will come in and whether he's in the fold or not, he'll give everything training-wise and be good around his teammates.
I think sadly for him and the Chelsea fans, or maybe not sadly for him, maybe he's absolutely going to love life at Atletico. It seemed like a money thing, coming, this mad PSR English player, academy player they get all the money for him. So
but it looks like there's a conspiracy theory about the game at the moment about this because of what's happened with this losing of points and all that people are going around creating deals now with each other to exchange players for this is conspiracy theory. I hope it's a conspiracy theory by the media saying that they're setting out to ring each other up and do each other deals and all that to overcome what might be a points deduction.
Thank you. Going on to our last section now, which this season, Mark, is true or false. So I'd like to just throw a couple of questions at you both, and you've got to tell me true or false. No fence sitting, and you can elaborate should you wish.
Okay.
So, your former West Brom boss, Carlos Corberán, is a Premier League level manager. True or false?
I'm going to say true. Yeah, I'm going to say true. Like,
why?
Because of his work ethic, and I think he's probably better. He's better than some of the managers that are in there in jobs. Some of the managers in the Premier League now, I think what he actually delivers and the way he delivers it is probably better than certain managers in the Premier League now. So I do think he deserves a shot at it at some point. He's got a lot of information to give. He's got a lot of experience in the way that he likes to do things, and he weren't really for me as a manager, I must admit. Like, as playing for him, it didn't really click between me and him. I didn't really enjoy the role that I was given, and probably didn't perform as well as I could. But
there's a difference between me and him. I wouldn't ask him to play something he didn't like doing. Never would I ask him to play in anything other than his strengths. So you got a manager, a coach who's saying you don't fit into my team because you can't do what I want you to do, so you don't play. Instead of saying I like what I'm going to adapt. I'm going to adapt to you because you're one of the best players at the football club. So we can utilise your strengths for the best of the team. I just don't get that.
My best game for West Brom was my first game, and I signed the day before. So I've literally gone with like the way I wanted to play, and done things sort of my way. And then I think gradually over time, I was being asked to do this different thing, and it was like so much focus.
I think it's so wrong that, like, personally, like, I mean, it's like you are there to you live or die by your own. So it's entirely up to you as a manager. You've got to do it your own way. He has to do it his own way because that's what he believes in. But that's not that player. You not utilising that player to his strengths and weaknesses. The whole point about you being a head coach is to assess the strengths and weaknesses of each individual you have, and then compile a system that suits those individuals. So you play as a team rather than just one philosophy, because then it's very difficult to change and find that player who's better than you. He might be able to play in that philosophy, but will he be able to perform better than you would with your experience being in the Premier League, all what you've done, all the knowledge that you have, all the things you can do help your other teammates with that you've picked up over the years. You can say to them, talk to them like, look, you know, to get to the Premier League, lads, we've got to do this. You know, we're going to be at that. You know what I mean? You've got all that experience. I just don't get it sometimes, me. You know what I mean?
I do think if he was to manage in the Premier League, there's certain aspects that to stay in the Premier League, I think he'd need to change, and one would be the sort of man management side of it. Like I said, I think he could manage in the Prem because of his football knowledge and his way of doing things that way. But I think if he had the other side of it as well, that would really help him sustain a job there.
Okay, true. Thank you. Next one. Wolves will finish above Leicester this season. True or false?
Oh.
That's a tough one, I think.
I think they will. Yeah, I think that is true. Kills me to say it, but I think they will. Like I say, I think Leicester will be all right, but I think Wolves. I do like the manager there. I do like Gary O'Neill, and I think he could get them playing well this season. Obviously, he did wonders with them last season, and I do see them sort of having a half good season.
They've sold Kilman and people like that, don't they? They've sold players that better Neto,
yeah.
and you know, is the club wealthy enough to, or are they just taking the money out? A bit Leicester's been through that spell, haven't they, since the unfortunate death of the owner? You know, the money's never quite been on the same level again since then, has it?
No,
Wolves seem to have gone through that spell initially where it used to be the Portuguese 11 nearly. You know,
still a lot of Portuguese players at Wolves.
You know what I mean? It's just you know, when they played in the Portuguese national strip as their second strip, you know that, don't you? I mean, that's like unbelievable, isn't it? Like, I mean, so not that you know that happens. That's what we've allowed to happen and all that. But the quality of the team. Who's that winger that they sold recently? Neto. I mean, he was outstanding. Neto, like, so he's gone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So he's got a lot to deal with, Gary. That would worry him, because the Wolves fans will expect to, you know that when they said they wouldn't survive last year, it's going to be a tough season, and he probably overachieved, but he never won any of the last 10, did he? Only won one in the last 10.
Yeah,
that was a big problem at the end of the season that you wouldn't want to carry over into this season. Like, I mean,
tough start for them. Arsenal.
They've a tough start as well, so he's got to ride through all of that.
So true or false?
I think it'll be touch and go, but I'll go for Gary.
Okay, true. Right, 3 left. Sam and Kevin Nolan, and we're now calling this controversially, Sam, predicted Villa to finish 8th when we did our predictions at the start of the season. True or false? What do you think?
What do I think? Do I think they will finish higher? Or
yeah. Well, we've stretched this to a false question. It's not really, is it? But
I'll give you our reasoning. For the first time in the Champions League is so tough. I mean, you've experienced, haven't you? Wednesday, then Saturday or Sunday, then Wednesday again, and then I'm not so sure the squad, Villa's squad, will hold up. Even though I was massively impressed with them against Arsenal.
Yeah.
I mean, they actually threw it away. They should have won that game. They should have won. They should have beat Arsenal. Missed the chances.
Yeah.
Sadly,
still coming back. Yeah.
I think they'll finish higher.
Okay.
That might be the Villa fan of me talking.
Absolutely, yeah. Wrong with that.
I actually think they'll finish higher. I think, I totally agree. I don't think they'll have the season that they had last year. I think I'd say about 6th, maybe. I think they've got a manager there that is obviously mastered the art of sort of playing in Europe. He's experienced. He knows what it takes. He'll know how to get the lads to recover and go again the weekend. I don't so much think that they've strengthened in terms of their squad, like you were saying. Like, I think they've lost obviously Douglas Luiz and probably replaced him with Onana's come in from Everton, and I think it's a bit like for like in many ways. But I don't think they've really strengthened. They probably could have done with another striker maybe. Obviously, when we was in the Champions League, our league form was terrible. I think at one point we was the worst. We had the worst record of any team defending the title, because our league suffered. Our league form suffered so much, and I think Newcastle had the same a couple of years ago when they was in there, and you see it quite regular. It's not like, obviously, the quality of teams you're playing on a Tuesday or a Wednesday night is a top level, and then you're then going to the Premier League, which is also top level. But it's the travelling and like you're staying over, and if you're not getting,
there's no excuses with the fans from that though.
No. Like you said earlier about like players knocking on your door if they weren't playing in Europe. Like, I actually experienced the flip side of that. Like, that's how I got my debut, because this was at Villa. I think we had lost the first leg of a Europa League game again. Well, it was UEFA Cup then, but against CSKA Moscow. So then Martin O'Neill just said, "Oh yeah, looks like," because we was going for Champions League at that point, and he just says, "Right, okay, well that's done. We're not going to go and win 3-0 out there. So we'll send the kids."
Yeah.
So like there was 4 or 5 of us that made our debut out in Moscow.
Great experience.
So, yeah, I've actually witnessed the other side of it. Yeah.
Wow. That's a place to make your debut as well.
It is.
Right, 2 questions left, true or false questions. If England win the next 2 games, Lee Carsley will be given the job.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
Lovely. Nice and short. That was great. Last one. Finally, your nickname is Sharky.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
Why?
So this goes way back. When I was in the reserve team, Kevin MacDonald, who I mentioned earlier, gave me the nickname Sharky from Sharky and George. TV programs before my time.
Well, not even I know Sharky.
I feel like it's got a theme tune that I know. Sharky and George.
Yeah, that might be it.
Is that?
Yeah. Like, I've never seen
a children's program or something.
I feel like I don't know.
Might be, yeah. And then it just stuck with me. And I think in the end, like, you have to embrace these things in football. You can't get caught up on it. I think it's got something to do with the nose, but yeah.
Right, I'm Googling that when we come off. We need to search Sharky and George. Yeah. Okay.
That's not unusual, getting pointed out your...
Yeah, exactly. So I think, like, in football, you have to embrace these things. I think I had it on my boots at one point. I had, like...
Sharky?
Yeah, stitched in my boot. Sharky, stitched in my boot. I just embraced it that much. But it just followed me everywhere then. There was always someone at, like... See, when I left Villa to go to Leicester, then there was someone that got hold of it from someone at Villa and just carried it on. Yeah, everyone calls it me now. Yeah,
could have been a lot worse.
It could, yeah. It could.
I've
heard worse. It's good to have a nickname. Yeah,
definitely. Yes. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
It's been lovely. Thank you very much for
Mark,
coming.
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
If somebody comes in for you, don't retire.
Good
luck, mate. Good luck.
Cheers.
Thank you, Sam.
Thanks.
Thank you. So we are not here next week because it is international break. We will be back the week after. So thank you very much for joining us for another episode of No Tippy Tappy Football.